And is the Cultural Arts Manager for the City of Kettering at Rosewood Arts Center. Welcome, Shayna.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. I hope I can stick to the rules here. I'm ready. Let's do this. So it's October. This is pretty much like the best month ever. I'm a huge fan of October, of things that are a little bit creepy, of macabre. 3.5 years ago, before I moved to Dayton, I was living in Philadelphia organizing strange events like this one, which was a blood drive that was vampire themed, as well as doing research with the Rosenbach Library folks to get all of Bram Stoker's notes out and look at the research he was doing as he was writing his great novel, Dracula. And just kind of having fun seeing what Philadelphia collections had to offer. One of my other favorite places was Laurel Hill Cemetery, which if you haven't been there is awesome. And their corpse preserver, which I thought was really quite nifty, and very glad we don't use these anymore. This was really before embalming became a regular standard practice. So you would put ice in here, put the body on ice, and then you could view the body through the top there. So this is kind of what happened during the Civil War when they had to like move bodies up to families, and oftentimes the bodies weren't the right ones. When I literally was driving to move to Dayton from Philadelphia, I pulled off the road outside of Wheeling, West Virginia to check out the Castle Halloween Museum. I don't know, has anyone been there before? Yes, all right, thank you. One person. It is in the middle of nowhere. They have 35,000 artifacts relating to Halloween, from masks to cereal boxes to games to sheet music. I mean, you name it. The woman who runs the museum in this old schoolhouse, Pamela Russell, has actually trademarked her name, the Halloween Queen. So she is very serious about what she does. And this building is like busting at the seams with Halloween stuff. This is just a really small sampling of some of the things that I saw. She and her husband have been collecting for over 50 years. They go to antique dealers, shops, conventions. They actually travel the world going to conventions and sort of sharing their knowledge. They also take donations, just FYI. So I was actually stopping by there on the way to Dayton to look at some of the cool Halloween stuff that might go on exhibit back in Philadelphia. So I was still doing my work, but having a great time doing it. Pamela actually produces a newsletter, if you are interested, called Trick or Treat Trader. This has been published since 1984. And she also writes books, including she is an expert scholar on Salem witchcraft souvenirs, which that is not a book I have read yet, but I plan on reading it. And a quote she wrote here: "Art, antiques, collectibles are our social history. They represent us and the decades we live in. They are the foundation of our personalized environments and how we and those about us react." Yeah, these were a whole bunch of really cool cards that she had there. I have a lot more images of these things. Very creepy. So I was going on a work trip. I was on my way to Kansas City and decided to veer off into Independence, Missouri to check out Leela's Hair Museum. Has anyone been there? Interesting. I'm surprised. As it turns out, this is one of the coolest little museums in a strip mall ever. So Leela has, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, she has been collecting since the 1950s. She actually started off as a hairdresser and veered into cosmetology, ran a cosmetology school, but started collecting hair art, including wreaths and jewelry, for decades. That is me, in case you weren't sure. They allow one picture in the main gallery, so this was mine. But Victorian hair art is something that's a little bit hard to get used to these days, at least in our culture, but very common before photography became so accessible and prevalent, and how we remember our loved ones and whatnot. This was actually an example from a school, and each of the teachers and administrators took their hair and made their own flowers. The flowers are each numbered, and there's a number that corresponds with their name on that backing that the wreath is mounted on. So you can see, like, this was a way to like record your family history, for example, or your community. Now, Leela's taken it upon herself also to reverse engineer how to do this stuff, because there really isn't any knowledge or books or like videos out there from the Victorian times on how you do this crazy stuff. So she now knows 30 different techniques on making your own flower out of hair. She has 5 more to learn. She teaches classes in Independence, Missouri, and she is publishing a book, so you too can also make your own beautiful hair art. And jewelry, of course, was she has over 2,000 objects that are jewelry made out of hair, including like cufflinks, buttons, watches, all sorts of really cool things. So I'm going to take this back home. I work in Kettering at Rosewood Art Center. Woohoo. Around the corner from Rosewood is this really awesome historic cemetery called Beavertown Cemetery. It was actually, the first recorded burial was in 1803, so it has quite a long history, really interesting tombstones. And actually this was back in 1901, the Grand Army of the Republic, those are the Civil War veterans in the lower picture there, dedicated a siege rifle from the Civil War in that cemetery, which is still there, so I definitely recommend checking it out if you like history like I do. But one of the things I was really drawn to with this space was, first of all, like, who knew it was there? It's kind of like tucked away. But then also there are these great examples of symbols on Victorian gravestones that were just pretty fascinating. I mean, the lamb, you may know, represents the loss of a youth, an infant, but the lamb also symbolizes purity and innocence, so very appropriate, and sadly there were many of those. This one actually represents someone who is a part of the Independent Order of the Oddfellows. So the hand holding the heart actually symbolizes charity, and the 3 rings below it represent friendship, love, and truth. So these all also sort of parallel with Christian meanings as well, but those are sort of the general ones. And to wrap it up, I want to celebrate Halloween with all of you, and I encourage you to make your own hair art, maybe donate something to the Castle Halloween Museum, because it looks like they're taking a lot more stuff on, and enjoy a historic cemetery this fine October. Thank you.